All right, everybody. So today we are going to be talking about int variables, but let's just do a little review on what these are. So remember, an int variable is a variable that can only be set to an integer value, such as like -1, 0, or 5 or something. So now let's take a look at an example of how we would actually create an int variable in our code. So here's one. It says int x equals 5. Let's take a look at this and break it down. So the int part is basically telling the computer that this variable is an int variable, so it can only be set equal to integer values. The next part, x, is the name of our variable. Now, our variable can actually be named anything. It could be named y, dogs, number of trucks. It just can't be named a single number by itself, such as just the number 6. After this, we have the equal sign. This equal sign is what basically sets the value equal to our variable. And then this 5 right here represents the actual number value that our variable is equal to. So remember, this has to be an integer because this is an int. And lastly, this semicolon right here, this goes at the end of our line of code because it tells the computer that, well, this is the end of our line of code. And this always has to be put at the end of variables. Now we are going to move on to creating our own int variables inside of REPL. So make sure you guys create your own REPL and then let's begin. All right, guys, so as you can see, I created a new REPL called 3.2 creating int variable. I deleted the default print statement that was right here that said hello world. I have a nice clear workspace. Now let's begin. So let's say I want to create an int variable called dogs and set it equal to 4. What I'm going to do first is type int, then we're going to put the name dogs is equal to 4. And then remember to put the semicolon at the end. Now let's say I want to create another int variable called p, and I want to set that equal to -1. So we're going to type int first, because that says what type of variable this is. P is equal to -1, semicolon. And then for our last example, let's say I want to create an int variable called num of trucks, or number of trucks, and set it equal to 10. It's going to be int, then num of trucks is equal to 10. The reason why I put num of trucks instead of number of trucks is because number of trucks would be a little too long for a variable name. You can do it, but I just don't want to type that all out, so I just said num of trucks. So this is how you would create your own variables. Next up, we're going to go for how to print int variables. All right, so when I say printing out int variables, what I mean is that, let's say if I were to tell the computer, all right, computer, print out dogs, which is the name of this variable, the computer should spit out over here the number 4. So it's not actually printing out the word dogs, it's printing out the variable, or what the variable is equal to. And in this case, the variable dogs is equal to 4. So now let's get into how we would print this out. Let's first start off with our print statement. So I'm just going to type system.out.println, our semicolon at the end, and then we know we have to put some information inside of our parentheses in order to print this out. So remember in the print statement playlist, how if I wanted to print a word or a phrase, I had to put it in quotes and then it would pop up over here. And if I wanted to print a number, all I had to do was type in the number directly, like 2 or 2.3, and I didn't have to put it in quotes. Well, in this case, what we're going to do when we want to print the value of a variable, all we're going to do is type in the name of that variable inside of here. But the thing is that we are not going to put it in quotes. So if I want to print out the value of dogs, I'm just going to type in the exact name of dogs right here. It has to be spelled the exact same way. And then when I run my code, over on this side, the computer should spit out 4 because the variable dogs is equal to 4. Now up here, if I were to change the value of dogs, let's say at first I had 4 dogs, but let's say, I got 2 more. I have 6 dogs now. What do you think is going to happen when I run my code? What is going to be printed to the screen now that dogs is equal to 6? Well, let's take a look. As you can see, the number 6 was spit out at us. And the reason why is because within our print statement, we're telling the computer, all right, computer, print out whatever dogs is equal to. The first time we ran our code, dogs was equal to 4, so of course it gave us 4. But now we changed the value of dogs to 6. And now the thing is that when we tell the computer, all right, computer, print out whatever dogs is equal to, after we changed it, now the computer is going to print out 6. So now if we wanted to print out the number of trucks that we have, we would just do system.out.println num of trucks. Now, when I type this, what do you guys think we're going to get for our output? Let's take a look. As you can see here, up top we get 6, and then on bottom we get 10. 6 represents the number of 6 represents dogs, and 10 represents the number of trucks. Another cool thing that you can do inside of print statements, if you remember this from our print statement playlist, was that you can do some math in here. For example, let's say I wanted to do 2 plus 3. If I were to do 2 plus 3, on the screen over here, we should expect to get 5. And as you can see, we get 5. Now the thing is that these variables right here, these variables are integers. The variable dogs is equal to 6. The variable p is equal to -1. And the variable num of trucks is equal to 10. Because these things are actually numbers, what we can do is that we can actually add them together inside of print statements. For example, let's say I wanted to do the variable dogs plus the variable num of trucks. What do you guys think is going to be printed out here? Let's take a look. So, as you could see, we got 16, but how did we get 16? Let's take a look. We're telling the computer to print out dogs plus num of trucks. Dogs is an int. It's an integer. It's a number value. And what is dogs equal to? Well, dogs is equal to 6. So this is equal to 6 right here. So it's 6 plus, and then num of trucks. Num of trucks is an int. It's an integer value. It's a number. What is num of trucks equal to? It's equal to 10. So we're essentially doing 6 plus 10. And once the computer does that math, it spits out 16. So this is how you can create your own int variables as well as how to print them to the screen. You can also do math with them, such as subtraction and multiplication, division, stuff like that. We'll go more in depth about mathematical operations in a later playlist, but as of right now, this is just some of the simple things that you guys could do. To conclude this video, we're just going to go through some review questions, so get out your Rappel and follow along. All right, question number 1. Create an int variable called home runs and set it equal to 5. Pause the video and do this on Rappel. All right, so to create our, looks like we had a little thing up there. To create our int variable called home runs and set equal to 5, it's going to be int home runs is equal to 5. We declare it with our int first, so this tells us this variable is an int. Here is going to be the name, the equal to sign, and then the number that it is equal to. Using the code from the previous question, now what I want you to do is to print the value of home runs to the screen. Now remember, you are printing the variable to the screen. So to print this variable to the screen, first off, we're going to keep our code from the first question right here. Now, if we want to print this to the screen, remember, we're going to be using a print statement. You could either use system.out.print or system.out.println. Both will get you the same outcome. Now, if we want to print the value of this variable to the screen, what we're going to do inside of here is that we're not going to type 5. We're going to type the name of the variable, home runs. Because the thing is that when we run our code, this variable, home runs, is equal to 5. Therefore, when we print what home runs is equal to, we're going to get 5. And no matter how much we change home runs, for example, if I were to change home runs to 3, then the computer should spit out what home runs is equal to, which is 3. So I'm going to change that back to 5, and that's how you solve this problem. All right, last question. So using your home runs variable, add 5 to this variable inside of a print statement, and then print this to the screen. Okay, guys, so this is our code from the previous problem. We have our int home runs equals 5, and then we have our print statement, which just prints out the value of home runs. Now, according to our problem, it wants us to add 5 to the value of home runs inside of our print statement. Okay, so how we're going to do this is that we are going to do home runs plus 5. And the reason why we're allowed to add this integer of 5 to this is because home runs in itself is an integer. Home runs is a number. Home runs represents the number 5. So because home runs is a number, we can add other numbers to it. So when I run my code, I should get the answer of 10 over here. So this is how you would add just numbers to an integer variable within Java. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Have any questions or comments, please post them down below. And if you would like to continue how to learn how to code in Java, click subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.